Welcome back to Turning Point tonight, where together we are charting the course of America's cultural comeback. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for sticking with us. I think we've all seen just about enough as we can handle of the Maryland father. First, he was a Maryland father that was stripped away from his family. Then, okay, wait, well, he's an illegal. And then, okay, wait, well, he's also a gang member. Oh, it actually turns out that he might have beaten his wife, according to court documents. Oh, wait, he was pulled over human trafficking. Yet another thing came out about the Maryland father that Democrats are so eager to defend and go down and pay homage to, as the senator from Maryland did. Let's bring our panel back so we can listen to this audio. So we all probably heard the story that the wife or just baby mama, I'm not even sure if they're legally married, of the Maryland father filed a court complaint that, well, he was domestically abusing her, which again is terrible. Nobody's trying to make light of that or belittle that in any way, shape, or form. But now there's audio that, well, backs up the already written statements that we've already seen. Let's listen to this and get your guys' reaction.
I came to fill out a protective order. I think it was in December. But I didn't show up to the court because his family, washed my brain telling me that his dad was sick and not to do it. I would call the police. I have a lot of police reports. And I kept trying to get to the door basement to try to open the door, and then he pushed me. So then when I was able to go outside to get a phone, I called 911 from a disconnected phone. So I saw a neighbor walking his dog, and I opened the door and I was like, help. And then when he heard me, he grabbed me from my hair and then he slapped me. And then the neighbor, he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to react. I have pictures of the evidence, all the bruises, because even on Wednesday, he hit me around 3 in the morning. He would just wake up and hit me. And then last Saturday for my daughter's birthday party, before I went to my daughter's birthday party, he slapped me 3 times. And then last week I did call the police. My sister called the police because he hit me in front of my sister.
Holy cow! That's honestly kind of difficult to listen to. Natalie, my question then, after hearing that, even though we already knew we had the writing samples for or the actual court filing that she listed, it makes it worse somehow. Why was this guy even still in the country? That's what I'm now asking. Is holy cow! It feels like there was enough evidence to boot this guy out a long time ago. What was going on there?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. The coverage on this has been crazy. I was just on college campuses this week with Walkaway, and so many of the kids there think that this guy is a U.S. citizen who was deported. And now we have all of this information coming out. I mean, did you see the body cam footage that came out of Tennessee in the last couple of days when he was pulled over in 2022? And right there on the camera, one of the law enforcement officers says he's hauling people for money. And then apparently they called the FBI under Joe Biden, and the FBI said, don't detain this guy. So then they just released this guy who they knew was trafficking. And now we come to find out that he's also an abuser. And you said it in the beginning that Democrats have kind of shifted their message away from Maryland dad. And now, oh, it's not about him. It's about due process, because I think it's like a point of pride. They know that they're too far into this. They can't back out now. And they just choose the worst people to be their heroes.
Yeah, I can't get through my head what is going on that side. Unless, of course, it's this. Actually, a lot of people don't know this, Chris. Buried in Article 8 of the Constitution, the Founding Fathers said that the craziest people among us have to defend illegal gang-banging, wife-beating domestic traffickers. Of course, it doesn't.
I missed that part.
Almost got through that without laughing. But yeah, they don't have to defend them, Chris. What is... If there's a message to libs, I would say you don't. There's no requirement that you have to defend this guy. Why are they continuing to do it?
I don't know, man. It's the insanity of the left, and I guess it just goes back to Trump derangement syndrome and orange man bad. But part of me looks at the wife and I go, "What are you doing?" And I tried to think about this last night, and I'm thinking she doesn't want to give up that give, send, go, man. She's raising too much money off the back of this Maryland man that we all know is a gang member. We all know he's a spousal abuser, human trafficker. You were talking about the body cam footage. It was hard to understand what he was saying underneath that thick Maryland accent. But when you got to the police, you could understand what they were saying because they had the Tennessee accent, so it was a little bit easier for me being in Tennessee. But the police said they're hauling ass. These guys are ass haulers. They're making money trafficking humans. And this is who the left defends. I don't want to interrupt the left. I don't want to interrupt our enemies while they're making a mistake.
Yeah.
But you would think that they would have some little bit, at least in the back of their mind, just a iota of knowing this is probably a bad idea.
Yeah, it's hard to stop your enemies when they're punching themselves in the face, but at the same time, it's very difficult to watch. Also, yeah, it's probably just overt TDS, which I think we had a panelist on the other day saying that Trump derangement syndrome might actually be the biggest epidemic, surpassing COVID, that is spreading around the world. Speaking of the Maryland father, one of our favorite congresswomen, at least I think I can call her a congresswoman, maybe a congress they, I'm not actually sure. Ilhan Omar was asked by, I believe, a Daily Caller Foundation reporter about the Democrats paying homage to the Maryland father, and this was her response. Watch this.
Congresswoman Omar, I'm Miles Morrell with the Daily Caller News Foundation. Do you think more of your Democratic colleagues should be traveling to El Salvador to advocate on behalf of Rodrigo Garcia?
I think you should off. Yeah,
I'm, I'm sorry, what? Congresswoman?
off.
Who should?
You.
Why me?
We're not taking any questions right now, but here you go.
Yeah, thanks.
Natalie, I am reminded of the iconic Michelle Obama speech, "When they go low, we go high." And of course, Ilhan Omar exemplifying the fact that they just take the high road every single time. And, and that's just what they do. Considering the fact that the biggest thing that Dems have, or the libs have in general, is this good feeling, heartfelt, motivational. How does that play into that? Or is it the fact that they're just getting so frustrated, the only thing they can resort to is yelling epithets at people?
Yeah, they seem to like the F word lately. I think of like Jasmine Crockett, who said, I think F you when she was asked about Elon Musk. They just like to insert that in anywhere. And honestly, I know we're not surprised by this, but it is a little bit shocking that she's a sitting representative and she's asked what is a legitimate question and she doesn't even try to answer it or try to spin the answer or even just ignore it. That she just like lets that fly out and then doubles down and then triples down later on social media. And honestly, I'm kind of in a minority on the right. I don't even really like it when someone like Nancy Mace gets a little too argumentative, I think, and not professional and doesn't represent us well. But then Ilhan Omar comes in and is like, hold my beer, and does something that's 100,000 times worse. And I mean, she's supposed to serve at the will of the people. And I really just don't think that this is it. It's just also like a walking billboard for why Democrats shouldn't be in power anymore and why we ironically need to be strict on immigration, which is what she was kind of asked about there. So
yeah,
didn't want to
you
answer.
mentioned that tweet too. She retweeted that and like said, no, I stand by what I say. F off, spelled it out. Chris, she's got to run for re-election every 2 years. This is a congressional seat, so 2 years comes pretty fast. I would imagine anybody in that district, even Democrats trying to primary her from her own party, would be running that ad nonstop. Do you think at this point, given all of the things she said, is this the breaking point that gets her booted out of office? Do you think that's going to make any difference whatsoever?
No, no. In the district of Somalia where she is, she has a lot of supporters, and this is just going to be a feather in her cap. I don't think that she has to worry about it at all. In fact, out of all the Democrats, I think that she's probably one of the safest. Let's be perfectly honest. People love her, but this new face of the Democrat Party that we're seeing, you mentioned Jasmine Crockett, Ilhan Omar is right in there. Is this the dark woke that we have been told about, where you're getting a little bit rude, a little bit crude, and you're letting the swear words fly? It's okay if that's what you want to do. I thought you were going to play the clip of her talking about American values, which I thought was even funnier because, she married her brother and her father was, complicit in genocide when he was in his home country. So there's that. But no, I don't think she has to worry about re-election. I think she's going to be good to go. And I think that this is just emblematic of the left, and their supporters are going to eat this all the way up.
Oh, I disagree. I think Ilhan Omar perfectly represents traditional Christian American values, Chris. I don't see what you're talking about at all. Of course, I'm kidding. Speaking of people who I would say don't represent traditional American values, Tim Walz's daughter. And look, I'm not a big fan of pulling family members of powerful people into the conversation. But at the same time, if you're going to be out there talking with authority because your parent is the governor of a state, sorry, you're fair game. Here is the young little Walls talking about the new form of what probably will be the next white supremacist movement. Watch this.
running as an act is political. And you know who taught me that? Tim Walz. The first thing he told me when I was first getting into it in high school was that running is a privilege, and being a part of the running community is a privilege that not all people have access to. Whether it be you just having the time to run, access like to funds to buy the gear, access to, you know, healthy quality foods that fuel you as you're training and as you're running, access to, you know, a safe, stable situation that allows you to be in a good mental state to be able to run. All of those things are hard to come by, and if you have them and are a part of the running community, that is a privilege.
Yes, a new privilege has just dropped. Chris, do we push back on this sort of stuff, or do we just go, sure, you say this as much as you want, and see if people come over to your side and allow the everyday average person, who I think would look at that and roll their eyes, to do just that?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's not every day that a clip can come on and make Ilhan Omar seem a little bit more sane than we thought just moments ago, but here we are. When she says check your privilege with running, I just think of all those white European runners that are winning marathons and, the big races in the Olympics. And I think, yeah, you're right. You're right. This is a white supremacist sport. And then I think of the barefoot Ethiopian who won a marathon, with no gear at all. Check your privilege at the door, pal. Apparently you're a Nazi as well. This is one of the most insane clips that I've seen from her, and she's been putting out a lot of clips. I agree with you, leaving the families out of it, but she has entered herself into this conversation. So at this point, she's fair game. And I just wonder, are you getting your talking points from, I don't know, ChatGPT? Like, is there a woke version of ChatGPT where she gets all of her talking points? Because they all seem very, very sterile and very similar to the last video that we saw. But she's insane. I don't understand it. And she said this is the first thing her dad taught her when she got into running. Check your privilege.
Ridiculous. Natalie, so is there a next step for this? What can we predict is going to be the next version of privilege or white supremacy or whatever it is? Is it baking? Is it mowing your lawn? What's the next thing? And should we start a gambling pool on what they're going to come up with next?
I don't know. Maybe being sane is a white privilege. I don't really know. So I think someone needs to take her phone away, because like Chris said, it's like every week some stupid video comes out, and she's not doing her dad any favors. I mean, when Tim opens his mouth, he's not doing himself any favors, but his daughter is not helping at all. And when I first watched this, I assumed she meant running for office, which would like maybe kind of make sense. But then I realized she meant just running down the street, which makes no sense whatsoever. And I really can't believe that this is what her dad taught her, like Chris said. I mean, maybe he said being part of the running team is a privilege, not a right. But did he genuinely, I guess it's Tim Walz, like he genuinely meant that running is white privilege. And I mean, she tries to tie it into climate change and how if we deport people, they can't be part of the running community. I mean, it makes no sense at all whatsoever.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you run too much, you might change the weather on accident, and that would be bad. Chris and Natalie, thank you guys so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. What do you think at home? What is going to be the next thing that is a privilege that the wokes decide to be their hill to die on? Email us, tpt@tpusa.com. You can email us whether you agree or whether you're wrong, tpt@tpusa.com. Coming up next is a clip from the Alex Clark's Cultural Apothecary podcast. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this.